YouTube, new family, what is going on? I have someone staring at me as I'm making this video, like from over here, but it's perfect. Need to come on here, speak. I'm at a random park. My plan was to interview, but getting pretty dark. It's supposed to rain as well, and I have a car that needs to go back in about an hour. So I'm a bit of a time crunch, but I need to come on here and speak and set myself free. The plan yesterday was to speak, but actually made the wrong choice and didn't speak. I was trying to force interviews, which is my path, which is me opening up souls and giving my gift, giving nuggets of wisdom. But I tried to force it, and it wasn't time, so I let it go. But I ended up trying to force something from salsa. Salsa, my angel, and interviews are the thing that I need to balance at this point in my life, and it's tough. And if you don't balance it, like happened yesterday, I get disconnected, like fully disconnected to the point where I'm there, but nothing is grabbing on. Salsa for me is usually something easy to grab. Not saying this in ego. It's just for some reason I do a class and I could just pick it up very quickly. But yesterday, it wasn't there. It was disconnecting. I was trying to control as well that my angel was there in the class, and I was like, I can't be an ego. I can't disconnect. So that was disconnecting me more. And yeah, just got to a point where I was very low, disconnected, and realized it was a wrong choice. So now I'm here making a video, speaking. Of course, there's no interviews, but it's perfect. I'm still growing. I'm still setting myself free. I'm just gonna flow and speak about what I have to speak. I don't have anything in mind. I was also gonna control where this is gonna go, whether this is new family, whether this is my personal, but who knows? I'm just gonna let it go, see what comes, what wisdom flows into me. But like I said, I realized yesterday that not even just making videos, because other people can make videos. You can record whatever and edit it, and I used to do vlogs, stuff like that. But I need to speak, whatever's on my mind. Speak, anything that comes to my head. The Holy Spirit wants to use, because I was reflecting on this morning. Is we're all vessels. I keep saying we're all vessels. We're nothing more than vessels for either Jesus and the Holy Spirit, or the enemy and evil. But essentially the only way you can become a vessel for one or the other is by giving a gift. Me living, simply doing the habits, and not sinning, of course, is good. It's walking the path that Jesus wanted. But if I don't give my gift, I'm not actually able to let the Holy Spirit work through me. I'm not able to actually impact others, or help Jesus save souls and give them that wisdom they need, or that hint of energy, or whatever it is that guides them to Jesus. So like I said, if I'm just doing habits and not posting, and of course the habits are important, they give you frequency, but just habits and not committing sin is not what Jesus wanted. Those people that are remembered, that have a big mission, like I feel I do, they have to give their gift consistently. It's something that if they don't do it, they disconnect, like I did. And it was just like Jesus was giving me a sign that, like, Daniel, speak. Like, you don't have to do interviews, but speak. Like, just take out the camera. But I was trying to like make it perfect. I was like, I'm not feeling it. I have to do interviews, or else it's nothing. And essentially me not doing anything got me in my head. Wasn't speaking, and then I went to salsa, and yeah, it's just disconnected. So like I said, my angel was there, and she saw me in that spot. But it is what it is. That's how we grow. That's how we keep making the right choices, and keep learning. Yes, it wasn't the right choice, but just learning. And yeah, I feel a bit heavy now because I wanted to control interviewing, or even looking around now and seeing who I can speak to, but I have to just let it go. This whole thing of interviewing and speaking to people and almost making myself like not available, but open to people around me is something that helps me grow massively. I kill fear. I'm walking up to literally strangers, people I've never met in my life, and just saying, "How can you help me grow this channel?" And I can ask you spiritual questions, and then from there, I have this ability to, open people up. It's something that I've had probably since a long time. Looking back, something that if I'm flowing and I'm not thinking, I just ask the questions that allow your soul to open up. I'm not going to ask you questions that get you more in ego, that make you think, that get you stressed, that make you anxious, that, you know, it's the whole point is to flow. The whole point is, you know, if you die tomorrow, what actually matters. Thought my alarm was going off. So that's all that matters. So the reason why I make this channel, the reason why, you know, I keep growing is because my only, say, focus, you could say, is, you know, getting to the kingdom and bringing others with me. You know, anybody that I meet will grow or will grow apart. As you guys saw in my last personal video, I had to let go of a brother, a friend, because yeah, I just didn't feel there was growth on his part, you know, and all I look for is spiritual growth. All I look for is getting closer to Jesus. All I look for is, you know, getting his wisdom, getting the Holy Spirit, getting the energy to give my gift, to live my purpose. And like I said, I used to believe, like, you know, just not committing sin and, you know, doing the habits was living my purpose. But it's just one part of it. It's like a small part. You have to kill the fear. You have to give your gift. You have to, if your gift is speaking, you have to speak as much as you can. If your gift is, I don't know, drawing or music, or I don't even know, maybe sports can be your gift. Like, you have this ability to just inspire people spiritually with sports. You have to do that as much as possible. If you feel energy from it and you grow from it, you have to do it. And of course, like I said, balance the other things. If you have your angel, if you have your soulmate, or if you have, you know, your twin flame, the person that God brought into your life, you have to spend time with them as well, because that will give you energy. But only when you're living your purpose. When you're putting your purpose first, and then other things, like for me, salsa. Yours can be, I don't know, what can you do? Playing the violin. I don't know, something that, you know, helps you grow spiritually. So those are things for me, and yeah, you can't force it. Like I said, as I'm making this video, I'm still trying to look around. I have to let it go. It's also training for me, and you know, this channel is gonna be massive. It's gonna grow, but I also have to put more into, you know, doing this. I'm actually not going to a social today because of this. I had a class yesterday, and like I said, disconnected and saw that the right choice to make is to speak and give wisdom. You know, let myself be a vessel and flow. No matter if it's a 5-minute video, 10-minute video, 50-minute video, 50-minute video, I have to get back into realizing that, you know, I get empowered when I speak. Like I said, yours can be different, but mine is speaking. You know, when I speak, I have this ability to just teach myself things. I have this ability to just not think and flow. And it's something that if I look back at a video, if it's a really good video and I'm flowing, I can't remember what I said. And that's like flow state. That's like something else taking over. That's like almost like, you know, drinking too much and blacking out. That's basically what happens when I'm conscious. It's like my memory blacks out in terms of what I said, but I'm just flowing and, you know, being used. And that is the whole point of this, you know. My ego before wanted me to believe in feelings, wanted me to believe that everything was going to be my fault in terms of, you know, money I made and the car I drove, and people would look at me and I would get a feeling and people would clap for me and my ego. And it's fake. It's fake, and it's also very tiring, you know. You living for your ego is never going to give you that peace, that like ability to not relax, but like, yeah, and like not be anxious, not be stressing, like simply flow with what's going to happen. You know, the path is already set. You have your path that God has for you, and you have the path that you're trying to make with your ego, which is the devil. You're trying to, you know, do things for feelings. You're trying to, you know, make people look at you a certain way. You want validation. You want to seem bigger than you are. You want the world to see something about you that's not even authentically you. And that's, you know, you start to do things like maybe look for fast money, fast fame, whatever it is, something fast to give you that feeling. But like, it's very tiring. Like, you can get a little bit of it, a feeling, but then you want the next thing, and it's just like you're constantly chasing. But this path, the path that, like I said, was chosen for me, is a path that, you know, I walk in faith. I don't, you know, see most of the time where it's going to lead me. I just feel that it's the right path, and if I deviate even a little bit, an inch to the right or to the left, I don't live in peace. I don't live, you know, fulfilled. I don't live aligned. I don't feel like I'm inspiring. I don't feel like I'm living my purpose or in the proper energy. And now, after yesterday, I realized that the decisions I make affect me much more than I thought. You know, I thought I can escape with small decisions like, you know, choosing salsa for a feeling as opposed to interviewing or speaking. But even that little thing that is hard to explain to somebody that, you know, isn't putting in the work 24/7. And like I said in my other video, I'm not better than anybody. I just have this hunger to grow spiritually. So, you know, I've invested in a mentor that gives me the calls, gives me the wisdom, and we talk about this, you know, where I'm at spiritually, you know, where I'm at in frequency, and, you know, how I'm growing. That's all we talk about. There's no, you know, things about the World Cup or vacation or, I don't know, what people talk about, politics. the war. Like we talk about, you know, Jesus. We talk about our soul. We talk about, you know, our angel. We talk about, you know, giving each other energy, you know, getting each other in power, getting each other frequency, you know, making the right choices. You know, for me, it's getting baptized. The next thing I have to do. For my mentor, it's getting married, you know. So like, you know, we're just looking at the steps that get us closer. We don't, like I said, care about the worldly things. Those will come, but we're not attached to them. We don't need the world to see us with a supercar or money or something, you know, worldly that, you know, we once believed would, you know, make us seen. You know, you're searching for that thing and wanting something fast and not knowing who you are and believing that the world giving you a feeling is you growing. I can tell you, I've been there, and it does not bring anything. It just gives you that your soul, like more of a gap, more of an emptiness. And, you know, it's the only things that are going to fill that and change you and change your thoughts and change your behavior and change what you believe or you believe is Jesus. I was speaking with this about my angel, and I firmly believe that the only way to change, you know, yourself, or, you know, if you feel somebody can change or grow, is leading them to Jesus. The only reason I changed this much and I'm making this video and I've cut out all the lust and cut out, you know, the masturbating, the porn, the drinking, the drugs, the clubbing, the hookups with the women, you know, spending money for a feeling, posting online for a feeling, like, you know, the hate I guess I had, or judgment I had towards other people. I used to have this thing where I was, you know, mad at immigrants in Canada for being in Canada, specifically people from India. And I was like, oh, why are they here? I was even telling my brother, like, you know, I have this like anger towards it. I killed that as well. I can, you know, like shake their hand and, you know, give them a kiss on the cheek if I have to. But all these things that you believe are you are not you. You know, even beliefs, even strong beliefs you have of like, oh, I'm never going to do this, or that's never going to happen. You know, for me, like I said, I'm never going to get married, and marriage is a scam, and the women always win in marriage. And now, you know, if, you know, things go well with my angel, we'll get married. And that's, you know, that's how it is. I firmly believe that that's the proper step. First is baptism, then getting married, and then, you know, doing things like interviewing people about Jesus. I never thought in my whole life that I'd be interviewing women, you know, or anybody, but specifically women. That was the thing I had to kill, and so when I killed, like, speaking to women, because that old part of me, that ego says, you know, you should be speaking, try to pick her up, or, you know, try to flirt with her a bit, because I programmed myself for 5 years to pick up women, you know, meaning I would walk anywhere and program myself to try to attract that woman and sleep with her as fast as possible within minutes, if I could, hours, you know, realistically. But yeah, to go from that to finding a random park to speak and flow is a big change. People not going to see it, you know, people close to me, family, they believe I'm crazy, they believe I'm going the wrong way, they believe I need to smarten up, they believe I need to make the right choices, they believe I need to stop listening to people that are leading me the wrong way. They're worried about me, they're confused about where I'm going. But when someone doesn't understand your growth, they start to attack you, they start to question you, they start to like throw stones at you and say this and that. Even people that, you know, were once very close to you, best friends, you know, whatever it is, they will still throw stones at you because they don't understand where your growth is coming from, how to grab it, how to conceptualize it. So they just prefer to just, you know, criticize it or judge it. That's perfect, you know. The more I walk this path, and the more I liberate myself, more and more dissolve the ego, not completely because that's impossible, but, you know, putting in the work, the more I see how 99.9% of the world is ran by their ego. And that is what I want to kill within myself, and most importantly with the people I interview. If I see somebody in ego, I chase that. It's like I look for that person that believes they're the flesh, that believes, I don't know, they're the surgery they just got done on their face, or the makeup they're wearing. The women or the men, they believe, I don't know, they're the watch they just bought or the car they're driving. I want to interview those people to separate themselves, you know, like, okay, perfect, God blessed you with something, or maybe the devil blessed you, is not blessing you, but giving you, trying to hurt you with, you know, material things so he can disconnect you. One or the other, but like, realize that you are not that thing. You know, Jesus does not want to give you something so you can get a feeling from it and tie yourself to it. And, oh, if that car breaks down, then I'm going to lose my mind. And that was me. I was the car, and I take pictures with the car. And, you know, I put the car name with my name, and all I am is the car. No, that's a feeling you're giving to it. It's the same thing as you getting lost in women. You getting lost in the feeling a car gives you, or the feeling money gives you, or a feeling whatever it is a trip gives you. It's a feeling. It's fake. So It's what I want to kill, mostly for myself. I still have those things. I'm not perfect. I never claim to be perfect. I never want to claim to be the perfect Christian or that I'm, closest thing to Jesus. But I make the sacrifices and make the choices to get me there. Like I said, I've let go of countless people, not because I wanted to, not because, I get something from that, but because I wasn't growing when I was with them. And like I said, all I want to do is grow spiritually. So those people can look at it the way they want to. That's perfectly fine. They can believe I'm an ego, they believe I'm superior, but I'm not. I'm simply, another person. I simply just want to be a vessel. Like I said, give my gift and speak and stay aligned, not commit sin, not be tempted by sin, by others that haven't killed their lust. And yeah, I simply want to speak and flow and be in these spots where I can interview people. Someone is stretching in front of me and I feel like I should interview her, so we'll see after this. But yeah, that's all I care about. And the rest will come, even thoughts, stories about money and, how this will monetize or how I'll live off this, because, I work 24/7 for God, for Jesus, even though I have a full-time job at the moment. I've had it for a while, but, my whole thing is this: interviewing, staying aligned, working for Him, seeing the next step I need to make just to, promote or, give His word to the world. And that's all I look for, and it's 24/7, even like I said, realizing where I'm at spiritually, that's work. People leave, staying away from vices is not work, or, finding the choice to make that connects you is not work, but that's all work. That's all, you can say, mental or spiritual, that, work that you're putting in to make sure you're aligning yourself. So even this, like I said, I was looking for someone to interview, but we'll see if I can find somebody here. If not, it's perfect. But the whole thing is I need to speak. It's going to happen tomorrow as well. I'm going to speak tomorrow and the day after, and probably the day after as well, just to get out of this weird place I'm in. It's not disconnected, it's just heavy. It's like a heavy feeling. The ego really wanted to control the interviews today. I feel that. And, it not happening, it feels like I let something down, but it's fake. So I have to get over that, forgive myself, and simply just post this and keep going, keep moving forward, making the right choices. Even things like going to bed on time is the right choice, going to bed before 10, anything that, prepares you spiritually for the next day, that keeps you in that rhythm. I realized after my trip from Ecuador that rhythm is the most important thing in this life. You can travel, of course. It's not saying you're supposed to live in one place the rest of your life and never move and never get on a plane. But realize that if your calling is big, you also have to make choices that are big, that sacrifice certain things that other people, want to do consistently, like travel or, party or get lost in vices or whatever it is. Like, you have to sacrifice those things to grow. And that's my path. I'm seeing that more and more. And the more I do it, the more it just gives me a different perspective on where I have to be going. But I don't look far ahead. I only look maybe a day, 2, that's it. More ahead is the devil trying to control and, setting a goal. I haven't set a goal in a while. I simply just flow. Setting goals, controlling, and, doesn't get you in power. The whole thing that I want from this channel, wherever I post this, is for others to get in power from seeing how, I do things, and also finding their own way of doing things. All I preach on here is that you remove the vices. That's number one. Remove all the things that disconnect you, that give you a feeling. Even if that's something that you believe you need, like maybe a partner or a car or your house, like all these things that are giving you feelings and distracting you, and you do something for a feeling from it, remove it. And then from there, it's putting your faith in something above you. And then from there, it's working on your frequency with the habits. So the habits no vice is also part of the habits, but the third thing is working on your frequency with, things like training every day, tracking your macros, reading a self-help book at the beginning, and then you're gonna start reading verses of the Bible, and then eventually get into the Bible. Speaking, speaking, putting your camera, and that's your shrink, and speaking to the world, giving your story. That's basically it for the moment. You're gonna start to uncover things about yourself. You're gonna start to speak and let go of demons, let go of control, and then that's when things are gonna start to come. You start to attract things based off your frequency, And you're going to start to grow. You're going to start to attract people. You're going to start to change your perspective. Most importantly, when you put Jesus first, he's going to start to change the way you think about things, beliefs you've had, maybe even hate in your heart, people you haven't forgiven. All these things are going to start to change when Jesus is there. And that's, basically the path forward. And then from there, you have the channel. You have me, you can go close to me in my Telegram. I also have my WhatsApp as well. But, the more I grow, the more people grow around me. So this channel is going to keep growing. We're going to keep helping Jesus save people's souls and, get more in power. And the more I speak, the more I get in power and the more I let myself flow. So this video needs to happen, even though I'm trying to control it and, get in this frequency from it, but it's perfect. It's one of those videos. We simply, move forward and grow from it. But the next few days will be interviews and time with my angel, and that's perfect. And like I said, balancing those things, because God blessed me with, someone, but I also don't need that person. I want that person, but if I start to lose myself in believing I need the person, that's where it goes wrong. I don't want her to need me either. I want her to want me, but no one should need somebody. It's simply, someone that complements your frequency and what you've done, the work you've done with yourself, but you don't need that person. It's a bonus, it's a plus. But when they're around, you get that energy and you want them around. So hope that's understood. But guys, it's actually nicer than I thought today. So we'll see what else is left of the day. I have some people around here. Maybe I'll speak to whichever soul the Holy Spirit tells me to speak to. I see animals as well. I'm not sure if you guys do anything with, not anything with, but do you guys, I start to do things with like saying hi to animals, because they're also, spirit, they're a soul. Animals go to heaven, and crazy how that works. If you have a dog, if you have a cat, if you have a pet, it goes to heaven. So, don't cry. Obviously, lose it in the flesh, but if you do the things right, you get in the kingdom. Same thing with, newborn babies, babies that are aborted as well. I'm not sure why I'm getting into this, but those are things that go to heaven and wait for the person, the parent, to go and raise it. Someone that died 44 hours and came back is something that Jesus told them. And it sounds crazy what I'm saying to you. It sounds like I'm making this up, but it's 100% true. I say it with a straight face, but it is, the truth. You can feel the truth when someone speaks. You can feel when someone's lying. People can lie with words, but energy never lies. You can say the right things. You can, have a poker face or try to have a poker face, but energy is always gonna tell the truth. Words can lie. Words lie very often, but energy tells the truth. So, I hear people talking about Jesus crying, getting emotional, like that power that spirituality gives you, where like your body can't comprehend what's happening, and so it has to break down and cry. People believe that's weak. The ego tells you that's weak and soft, and it's being a pussy. But when you have that much power working through you in terms of spiritual perspective, that's probably the least weak or soft thing, because it's no longer you. It's almost like you become a vessel and something's just trying to give you a message through you. So it's giving you emotion, and you flowing, and you, like I said, not thinking and just being a vessel is what we're here to do. I'm seeing that more and more. We can just walk and be good by following the Bible and working on our frequency with our habits, but that's not what we're here to do. We're here to give our gift. We're here to help Jesus save souls with our gift. Mine is speaking, and I believe the more I do this, the more I will attract things like audiences, like me speaking on a stage, like me giving presentations or whatever it is. Because although it doesn't seem like it, I've had a huge transformation, massive transformation from where I was even last year to now is massive, and it just keeps getting more transformational. But it's not even me. I don't think about it. I don't write down what I want to transform into. I don't I simply just follow the Bible, don't miss, and allow Jesus to mold me into whatever he needs me to be. It's like being water. I don't want to be rock. I don't want to be clay. I don't want to have any kind of rigidity, if that's a word, to me. I want to be able to just be molded into the purpose I have. Because like I said, you can walk your path that's for you in peace and love and, you know, growth and, you know, perspective and wisdom, or you can walk against it and start to get anxious, start to get, you know, depression, start to compare yourself and compete and get all these feelings that you believe are real, but it's the devil, you know, just basically using you. And that's where most of the world lives. And it's not to say anything that I'm better than anybody, but like I said, I was there once for a long time, and, you know, the way out really is letting go of that control, letting go of believing you have to know the answer, letting go of, you know, believing that the world is against you, or believing that something happened to hurt you, or something happened to create an anger in you, or someone betrayed you, or something happened, or trauma happened because it's out to get you. Like, everything happens for a reason. Everything is perfect. The reason I'm here is because I accept everything that happened to me. I kiss all those demons that wanted me to hate people and go against people and do something for somebody or show the world something for somebody. You know, I simply just forgave those, you know, those people, forgave myself, and moved on. I mean, like I said, I've removed hate for the weirdest things. Like I said, immigrants in Canada had this thing of like, oh, they shouldn't be here, and like I was like, why do I have this? That literally dissolved away. So, you know, like I said, you can't control what Jesus wants to turn you into, but you have to let him turn you into something. Because if you put Jesus there and you're trying to control, and you're trying to like, okay, I believe in you, Jesus, but you know what? No, I'm gonna control this. And then he tries to give you a sign to, you know, to help you with something. You're like, no, this one I can't do either. Oh, you again? No, I can't do this one. I believe in you, but yeah, no, I can't do this one. And you just keep, you know, like, he's there knocking, you're like, no, not this. Relation, no, this relationship, I have to control the relationship. Oh, money, no, I have to control money. This health problem, I have to control that. Like, you're just, so it's like, you never actually experience Jesus. You never actually experience what it is to flow, to be a vessel. You know, I keep saying this, but I want to point this. You have to be a vessel. Give your gift. You're here to give a gift. Jesus put a gift in you. Like, he said, Daniel, this is your gift. You know, whatever your name is, Katie or John or Michael, like, he put something within you that once you remove all the distractions, once you remove all the ego, once you remove the control, once you remove comparing yourself to society and competing with people around you that you believe you need to compete with, or, you know, believing in your anxiety, believing in your depression, believing in all these things, that's when you actually connect and you start to feel a power that's not even you. And that's when you actually elevate, you know, because people believe they live on the physical plane and then the mental, you know, like that's all you have. But you have the spiritual. The spiritual is where everything comes from, the understanding of what's happening. Everything that I live right now, you know, even like me driving, you know, someone cutting me off or whatever it is, or, you know, something happening in my day-to-day life, I see it as spiritual. I see it as like, okay, this is had to happen, or this is a test, or there's something here. Like, I look for signs. I look for, like, I'm not here like controlling like how I drive and someone cuts me off and like stick the finger at them and do this and that and, you know, hate you and, you know, I was supposed to be there and then on time or at this time or whatever it is. Of course, be on time, but I'm saying, like, don't control everything. Control is what gets you in your head, makes you anxious and believe the world's out to get you, and you start to like criticize the world because of what's happening to you, and it's all a path to nowhere. It's a path to building hate within your heart, and that's what gets you furthest from Jesus. You know, having hate, holding a grudge, judging people, you know, not forgiving yourself, not forgiving something that happened years ago, decades ago, 50 years ago. Like, just let it go, you know? Like, if you die tomorrow, you're really gonna hold on to something someone did 20 years ago and say, oh, that person needs to pay, and you're about to die, and oh, I need to pay, and then you die, and it's like, it's worth nothing. Like, you know, what is worth, you know, more than your soul, you know? Like, when you die, you know, that's the question I can have for a lot of people is, what's the most important thing when you die? Money, or my tombstone, or what this person thought of me. It's like, no, your soul. You know, like, where are you going? Your soul is what matters. What matters now, what matters when you die, what matters when you were born, you know, connecting with your soul and your spirit, and, you know, enjoying the flesh, of course. You know, spirituality is being controlled of the flesh, enjoying it, but not being led by the flesh or being controlled by the flesh and getting a feeling from sex with somebody, or getting a feeling from drinking, getting a feeling from drugs, getting a feeling from, I don't know, sex clubs and group sex and all these things I used to do before. Like, I used to get a feeling from how a girl touched me and kissed me and It's crazy, but you believe it's real. You believe the stories of the devil, but they're fake. So yeah, guys, crazy video. Crazy has to fall at the end, really, massively. And God's plan. But we'll end it here because, yeah, something tells me there's more to this day. And yeah, I want to enjoy it. You know, I see animals, I see people, some staring, some not, but it's perfect. That's how I grow. The more people that stare at you when you're making a video, the more you grow. Like if I had the whole park, like people just staring at me, maybe even like recording me, I would just grow massively. Because you want to kill that fear. You want to, somebody like want to ask for that fear or ask for the situations that help you grow. And that's how you do it, confronting those fears, you know? Confronting the things that your ego tells you not to be authentic with, like connections. I have a friend that was, you know, had a connection with somebody, but, you know, wasn't telling her, and he was just keeping it surface level. And I told him, like, you have to be authentic with, you know, that person, the person you're connecting with, you know. If you're here and you know you could be here, you're losing energy, you're killing your frequency. The whole thing is growing, you know. The whole thing is soul, you know, your soulmate as well, your angel. That's a soul connection, you know. That has to be primarily a soul connection. You can't live a spiritual life and put everything, you know, Jesus first, and then your connection is just flesh. It's just, oh, she looks like this, and you know, she has her butt like this, and her boobs like this, and flesh, and her face is like this. Like, no, it has to be a soul connection. Like, you don't have to look. You could close your eyes and she's in the room and things happen. Like, that's soul connection. And it's crazy that I've been able to find that, but it's God's plan. And yeah, like I said, it's now balancing it because it's something else that, you know, I attracted through my growth, and it's perfect. So yeah, guys, we'll just leave it there. We're not sure where this will go, but, you know, glad I made this video, glad I spoke, glad I flowed, and yeah, now we'll see what happens. But now I'm in the mood to do interviews. You know, now I've set myself, you know, free of that heaviness I had coming in here because I was controlling it. But who knows? Probably may not happen, but it's perfect. At least I spoke. At least I have a video that you guys can grow from. And if you apply the things that I said earlier, you will grow. There's no doubt. You know, I don't, you know, doubt myself or the things I say. It's all wisdom. So if you know, you remove the distractions and really remove the vices, it's the hardest part. You know, lock in the habits, put Jesus, find him, you know, little by little verses, you know, Bible app, whatever it is, and you fully get into the Bible. That's how you get your power. And then you start to get your gift, and you'll start to naturally let go of people because you're going to grow massively, and that's okay. And people could say you're an ego, and people could say you believe you're better than me, and people could say, you know, you have to keep everybody close because Jesus was unconditional love and he kept everybody close, so they can use scripture against you and whatever it is. But, you know, if you want to really live your purpose, you have to be in power, be at your highest frequency, and then help other people. You know, people will not listen to you or pay attention if you're